We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until. Come on, say it now. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes.
It's hard to believe that Mint Mobile can be good at just $15 a month.
Oh, well, there's everybody. George, you want to say a little hello and welcome?
Here I was talking, thinking I was unmuted. Sorry. Woo! It's a powerful song and a powerful way to start our event today. Welcome. It's good to see you all. Welcome to the launch of two new branches for Peace and Freedom. A couple of housekeeping sort of things. If you're not speaking, please mute your microphone. Your microphone is at the lower left corner of your screen if you're on a laptop. And if you're on a phone, I don't know how you mute yourself. Maybe 6 or #6 or something like that. But if you're not speaking, please mute yourself. For those of you who will be speaking, I will give you a 2-minute notice with 2 fingers when you've got 2 minutes left, or 1 minute when you've got 1 finger, or I'll put my hand up and I'll use the raise hand function when it's time for you to stop in the name of love. I'm going to turn it over now to Teresa Elamine to introduce our speakers from WILPF US.
Well, thanks everyone. We have 20 people in the meeting. Some people I've never seen before, and this is great. We want to hear from 2 of our leaders in the national apparatus of WILPF. Robin Lloyd, who is a 3rd generation WILPF member and someone I've been learning a lot from over the past few months. She's one of the co-chairs of the Disarm Committee, and I think she's having a big party at her house, but she agreed to give us about 7 minutes of her time to tell us about herself and her long history of being with WILPF. And we'll let Robin Lloyd speak first, and then Jan Quarterman, who is a national board treasurer and also very active with the Membership Development Committee. She will speak after Robin, and then we'll introduce the new members from the Triad, the Metro Atlanta branches. So Robin, how's the party going?
Well, it's kind of getting a slow start, but a lot of folks are here, and I'd like to introduce you to one of the ones, the one who got us going on this, because this party is called Africa Day. And Africa Day is based on the fact that 58 years ago, Kwame Nkrumah tried to create a United States of Africa. And the person who has entered our community, his name is Eric Agnero. Maybe he will say a few words if we have time. He was the one who got us going on this, and he knows the whole history. But right now, let me just say that I'm so delighted that George and Teresa are making this event happen and bringing together people from North Carolina and Georgia and is there another state involved? But in any case, that because of Zoom, you can all meet and you can meet each other. And once we can meet each other face to face, it will be a different situation. But this is excellent that it's happening now, because the triennial US WILF Congress is going to take place in August. And I very much hope that all of you will take part in that. I was just on a call to plan some of the sessions that will take place. It's from the 13th to the 25th of August. And it's all going to be on Zoom in different ways, we hope, with music and everything else, and a way to meet our sisters all across the country. Yeah, well, I mean, I just get into family. My grandmother was involved in the first WILF event that happened in 1915, when a bunch of women got on a boat and said, we want to stop this war. It was World War I. They didn't know that was his name back then. And they met in The Hague and met their sisters from different sides of the war. And as we know, they didn't stop the war, but they did form an organization that now is 106 years old. So with all of that, let me introduce you to Eric Agnero, who is right.
Hello,
Yeah.
ladies.
Uh-huh.
Is there a gentleman or a few gentlemen?
Il parle français, mais il parle anglais.
Bonjour à tout le monde. C'est un honneur. It's an honor to meet you all. Today is Africa Day. We're trying to celebrate, the organization. I mean, the creation of the African Unity Organization by Haile Selassie, Kwame Nkrumah, and all these elders that thought that it was very important for Africans coming out from colonialism to get together. Unfortunately, it wasn't the vision of Kwame Nkrumah that Robin met in Ghana, who wanted the United States of Africa already. And the other guys, the guys from Casablanca, wanted to go step by step. But today we wanted to tell our community here of new African Americans that they should be proud of the continent they're coming from, because it wasn't a continent that didn't resist to colonialism. We have heroic fights that took over. And then we have also a resilience that, made Africa survive all these, the cake that was divided in Berlin, and then the AFRICOM, and all these, structural adjustment, everything. So we are proud to be African, but also we shouldn't only blame, the Western world. We should look at our leaders who could do more with, the resources they have, who could do more with, the money that they can get, and who can go from being just providers of cocoa beans to, providers of factory that can prevent these kids from going to die in the oceans. So ladies, I'm going back to serve food. Thank you very much. Enjoy.
Yeah. Just to explain, this whole gathering is mainly sponsored by Association for Africans Living in Vermont. And because we have many refugees who have come here, and they are, so that's what I don't know, can you see that? Can you see the folks, all the tables? And and this is Sandy Baird. Sandy Baird is a member of WILF.
Yes, I am.
Yes, yes. Okay, I think I have to get off now. All right, was that okay? Let me hand it on to Teresa.
Thank you, Robin. We are looking forward to hearing more about how great the party goes.
Okay.
We're in the midst of African Liberation Day. celebrations in the United States, May 25th is the actual day. But on today, the Black Alliance for Peace had a webinar, African Liberation Day, with speakers from Brazil, from Haiti, from Colombia, and Professor Gerald Horn from the United States. He lives in Houston now, but it was a great conversation about the struggles of African peoples throughout the diaspora. And so that also happened today. So we would look forward to hearing more about what happened and what's happening today in Burlington. So thank you so much for joining us. We understand if you have to go because it looks like a great party and there's food. So enjoy yourself. And we'll hear from Jan Quarterman, the National Board Treasurer now. Thank you, Jan.
Yeah, well, thank you, Teresa, and thank you, George, and thank you for the invitation to be with you today for this founding. It's very exciting to have two new branches join WILPF. And now you're members, you're valued members of our organization. And I just want to point out that we are at 3 levels. You are a member at 3 levels, the national level in Atlanta and North Carolina, the Triad, and the section level, which is all the United States, and also the international level. So we're very, very fortunate to have you join with us because we want to really work together to realize our vision. I wanted to say too that we're also very honored to have the support of SARN, the Southern Anti-Racism Network. I know that many of you come to WILPF through SARN, and when I look at SARN's work, developing campaigns and projects in the South to end racial disparities in criminal justice, economic opportunities, education, environmental justice, and healthcare. It's just a good feeling to know that we're connected, that our members are connected in these ways. So let me just say a little bit more about WILPF. You may say, what's our vision? And I'd like to tell you about our vision. It is making a world where everyone can enjoy a decent livelihood, health, freedom from violence, a flourishing natural environment, and so much more. I mentioned that WILPF US, we cover the whole United States. It's called a section, and we have over 40 branches in the US. I'm in the Midwest in the Des Moines, Iowa branch, actually. And I'm part of our leadership team here. We work very conscientiously to have an equal role in our leadership. We want to leave that hierarchy that we've dealt with in other organizations behind, and we think that we've been successful in doing that here in Des Moines. I also want to let you know, and I know Robin already mentioned this, but your timing is so good to join WILPF because we have our Congress. We call it a Congress. It's only triennial. It's only 3 years, and it is coming up, as Robin said, it's coming up in August. I want to tell you the theme this year. It's Women, Power, and Social Justice, Building from Strength. And Robin already mentioned the dates. I'm going to just mention them to you again. They're the 2 weekends, August 13th to 15th and August 20th to 22nd. And if we have activities going on, we will meet during the week as well. And among other things, among you getting to know us, it would also be an opportunity for you to do a presentation of some sort. Maybe you just want to do an introduction. And there's timeframes that do that. I'll get Teresa and George all the information. They may already have it, but I'll just make sure. And it may be, I think, in my opinion anyway, I'll encourage you to introduce yourself at Congress through a presentation. So I'll invite you to do that. There's a deadline coming up, but we won't worry about that. We'll just ask you to think about putting together some kind of an introduction, because I know our members would love to meet you. I know I also wouldn't be doing a good job if I didn't comment about the Poor People's Campaign coming up next month, particularly to those of you that are in North Carolina. I think it's June 21st or right around there. It's going to be in Raleigh, if I'm not mistaken. And I wanted to let you know that WILPF US is a partner in the Poor People's Campaign. We were fortunate here in our branch to be able to host both Reverend Barber and Reverend Theo Harris at an event that we had here in Des Moines. And our branch hosted a meal that we all shared together before an event, a wonderful event that was hosted here. So just wanted to make sure and let you know that we are a partner in the Poor People's Campaign. And I hope that those of you who are also part of the campaign attend that event in next month. So that is what I really wanted to share with you today. And again, I appreciate being with you. I can't wait to get introduced to everybody. So thank you, Teresa, and everybody for this opportunity.
Thanks so much, Jan. And I really appreciated hearing you recommend that our new branches introduce themselves at the upcoming Congress, because that's exactly what we're going to do now. Have our new branches introduce themselves. So there are a handful of folks from our new and emerging triad branch. So if you will come off, turn your camera on, if you would, and introduce yourself. Let folks know where you are, those folks who are in the triad branch. The triad is Greensboro, Winston-Salem, and we are including Charlotte right now as part of our triad branch. So I'm going to start with Samantha Turner. I see you trying to unmute, Samantha.
I'm not home right now. I'm sorry. I'm putting up the window. I'm Samantha Turner. Hello, everybody. I've met a few of you before, and it's been wonderful getting to know you all and being involved with the organization. I've been a co-chair with George on the South Piedmont Circle of the Poor People's Campaign in North Carolina since January, and we've been doing things to help our community get through this pandemic. At this point, we've had a couple of really nice food drives. We've had some great
Samantha, my
donation
apologies. I
drives.
should have said that you should talk for 30 seconds only.
Oh, shoot.
My bad.
Okay.
I should
All
know
right,
better.
George.
That's on me.
Okay.
How about you, Rita Gonzalez? You're on mute, Rita.
Unmute, sorry. I couldn't read it, even with these glasses. Sorry. I'm Rita Gonzalez. I live in Trinity, North Carolina, about a half hour from Greensboro, 45 minutes from Winston-Salem. I'm with SARN, Southern Anti-Racism Network, for years. And I've worked with Teresa on building a Black-Brown coalition and trying to educate on both sides and to show that we all have the same common problems. And we have more in common than the things that we don't have in common. I don't know if I said that eloquently enough.
Thanks so much, Rita. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So, Minerva Garcia. Minerva, you want to take your camera off and introduce yourself? If you can, at least unmute.
Hey, George, this is Kim. I'll go before Minerva while she was having some
Figuring out the technology.
yeah,
She's
having some technical issues earlier, so I'll go first. And people don't have to, they don't have to go on camera, you know, if they don't want to. But anyway, I'm Kim Porter, and I work for NC Warren, and I have two friends who are on the call, Minerva Garcia and Carla Brown, who are both have been volunteers for NC Warren. And I'm also on the board for the NAACP of North Carolina as the Environmental Justice Chair, and work with George as well on Poor People's Campaign. I'm the ecological devastation co-chair with William Barber III for that. And so Minerva has worked with those campaigns with me as well. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Kim. Minerva, or I know there's another person. Oh, Jennifer Bailey. Jennifer, would you like to introduce yourself? You live in the Triad.
Yes, I do. I live in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I am involved with SARN as well, largely in the healthcare, particularly trying to lobby for universal healthcare, or what's called Medicare for all. And I'm also a member of WILF as well, as she mentioned. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Jennifer. Minerva, do you think you can unmute and say hello? Let us hear your voice. Well, doesn't seem like that's possible right now. Don't worry about it. We're glad to see you. Glad that you're here. Oh, there you are. I know you're trying. I recognize you, Minerva. Can you unmute, do you think? I see that you're talking, but we can't hear you.
Okay.
Woo,
I'm muted.
yes, it's done. No, go back. You had it before. Now you muted again. One more time. It's going to work. I know it's frustrating, but you're still muted, Minerva. And I know you got it unmuted earlier. Just
I'm mute.
Yes.
There. I
you
think
go.
I got it. Yes. Yeah. Sorry guys. Yeah, this Minerva. And this is my first time being with you guys in this Zoom call. But it's a pleasure to be with you guys and so excited to learn a lot more from you guys. Good to see you.
Mucho gusto.
Thanks so much. So that is our Triad branch, or the folks from the Triad branch are on the call today. We have many other members that couldn't be here, but we're all excited to be part of WILF, excited to be working to build the Black Liberation Caucus, and excited to plan work together that'll happen here in North Carolina. So I'm going to turn it over to Shantae McLaughlin, who will introduce folks from the New Atlanta branch.
Good afternoon. My name is Shantae McLaughlin. I'm here I'm actually in Mobile, Alabama in the moment, but I live in East Point, Georgia, and I am working with Teresa Elamine to begin the Atlanta chapter, where we do have 10 members. So we have a chapter. First person I'd like to introduce is Ms. Charity Garcia. If you could share 30 seconds worth of who you are, please, and come off mute.
Hello, everyone. My name is Charity Garcia. I am firstborn generation of my family from Cuba. And I'm looking forward to this chapter and working with Teresa Alameen and Shantae and the rest of the Atlanta chapter and the rest of the entire group. So I'm looking forward to doing some good work.
Thank you, Charity. I know that Tawaya was joining us. I don't see her.
Shantae, while we're waiting for Tawaya or Kiara, I'll introduce some of the Atlanta Metro members I know. Marceline Stripling, who managed to be here with us. And if she could unmute herself and say where in Atlanta she lives and a little bit about her. She's one of the many women I've been meeting across Georgia who are veterans. And so, Marceline, are you there? Can you unmute yourself? Okay.
Yes, hello, good evening. Again, my name is Marceline, and I'm extremely happy to be a part of this group. I am learning so much about the need for us to become more active as a citizen. I am first generation Trinidadian American, and so I am excited to be a part and to do whatever I am able to do. I live in West Atlanta, and I'm excited to become active.
Well, thank you, Marceline. Now, if we could have Bobby Paul, who is one of the longtime activists, and I'll let her tell about her background with WAN. So please, Bobby Paul.
Thank you, Teresa. Teresa reached out to me and I retired as I was the first executive director of Georgia WAN. It was initially Atlanta WAN, Women's Action for Nuclear Disarmament originally. And that is why I joined it, because I care a lot about the nuclear issue, especially the inordinate amounts of money that are spent on nuclear weapons that we will hopefully never use, robbing us of education, health, everything else that we know that we need. I retired in 2013, and since then running a very bipartisan group, wink, wink, forced to do so. I have been, as I told Teresa, very partisan, working on elections. I was a part of all of the recounts in Fulton County. I live in Inland Park for 37 years. I have 2 sons, 2 grandkids. I live near the Carter Library. I became active when I moved from Philadelphia down to Florida during the Vietnam War, and I never looked back from then. So I've worked a lot with the People's Agenda, Concerned Black Clergy, and other groups in Atlanta over the years. We just did the John Lewis Day of Action here in Atlanta. I work with Helen Butler now, Atlanta Grandmothers for Peace. I don't know what I have left in me at age 71 to give, but I'm happy to hear about WILPF. I have interned with WILPF and been with them over the years and enjoyed. I assume Carol Erner from Oregon is still involved. And I always felt that WILPF and WAND were very simpatico. And I've always believed in partnerships. So I look forward to hearing what the plans are for a WILPF chapter here in Atlanta. I think that's enough.
Well, thank you, Bobby. We did get regrets from Glenn Carroll. She recently had some medical procedures, and she did tell me today wasn't a good day, but she's all the way in. Glenn Carroll is with Nuclear Watch South, and she's well known for the No Nukes Y'all. And so she's one of the members of the Metro Atlanta branch. And I definitely checked with Chris Wilbeck to make sure that we do have our 10 or more than 10 members. So when you go to the join tab at the wilpfus.org website, you can join the Metro Atlanta branch. You can join the Triad branch, and you can also join the Fannie Lou Hamer Columbus, Georgia branch. And we have at least one other person here from the Fannie Lou Hamer branch, Kathy Caldwell. So I want to ask her to introduce herself.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kathy Caldwell. It's been a pleasure being with the organization for a couple of months and so forth, and knowing Ms. Teresa. And in the near future, prayerfully that we'll be working together for one cause.
Well, thank you, Kathy. Now, there are some other members, and actually maybe not members, who are here. And we want them to introduce themselves before we start hearing from some of the issue committee representatives. So Queen Mother Blakely, who hails from Harlem, New York, she was asked to join us today. So Queen Mother Blakely, please say a word or two.
I first want to say thank you, Teresa, for inviting Queen Mother. I'm going to make it easy on all of you. You can Google me, Queen Mother Dr. Deloise Blakely. And I'm the community mayor of Harlem. And I am the one who was an assistant to Queen Mother Audley Moore, who lived to be almost 100 years old in the liberation struggle of a people. And I've been at the United Nations as a humanitarian for 52 years. And so going on my 52 years, I have been all over the world and concerned about the future, which is the young people, mentoring them in education, recreation, culture, and innovation. And so I'm going to put a pin in it right there for the work that Queen Mother has been engaged with. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And we have folks, Philip Cole, who is a member of the San Francisco branch, and I believe he's maybe on the phone with the 415 number. So Philip, could you introduce yourself?
Oh, good afternoon. Am I able to be heard?
Yes, we hear you, Philip. Just tell
Wonderful.
people where you're from and your branch.
Okay, I'm a member of the San Francisco branch, and I've been a member for 3 years. And I live in San Bruno, California, where the demographics are incredibly different from the rest of the world. The population is probably 30 to 40% Asian, and the rest are very mixed. And we have the largest Filipino community next to us outside of Manila. So it's a very interesting place to live. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Liz Evans, if you could unmute yourself and introduce yourself, that would be great.
Hi, I'm just visiting. My name is Liz Evans. I am with the Triangle branch of WILPF, and we had conversation earlier with George, and got this invitation, and I'm pleased to be here. Thank you.
We're so glad to have our big sister branch here. It was a great conversation this morning, and I see Miriam Thompson from the Triangle branch is also here. So if she could introduce herself. Miriam, are you there?
I am, but I have to unmute. There I am. Well, I'm pleased to be here. It was a vibrant discussion. I put some questions. I won't be able to stay on too long, but I put some questions about what we're doing, especially in North Carolina and Georgia, around the rabid right-wing agenda in the state legislature. And I summarized that, and I think I sent a copy to anyway, I'm working, I'm exhilarated, and I'll be short. I came from the extraordinary Palestine Emergency Solidarity Rally with Black Lives Matter, Medicare for All North Carolina, a few members from WILPF's Triangle branch, but it was an extraordinary group of young people. That was, to me, the most important, and people of color, young men and women with their children. So that made it really exciting. So I'm glad to be here, glad to meet everyone, and many people I know and don't know. So thank you. Have a good meeting if I have to leave you a little bit early.
Well, thank you. Well, now we want to hear from the issue committee chairs or co-chairs. And I noticed that we have one of the co-chairs of the Disarm Committee here. We have a co-chair from the Cuba Bolivarian Solidarity Committee here. We have Joan Goddard, who's agreed to tell us about what's coming up with the Advancing Human Rights Committee, and we have Barbara Taft. So glad you could join us from the Middle East Committee, which is a committee that George Friday and I are both members of, and I'm also a member of the Cuba Committee. So this is an opportunity for you to say a little bit about your committees so that the new members can start making some decisions about what committees they might join. So we'll start with Ellen, and then we'll go with Lenny, and then Joan, and then Barbara. I think that's all of the committee co-chairs who are here. But I would like to ask Jan Quarterman if she could say a little bit about the Membership Development Committee. So if we could go in that order, if you could take about 3 minutes each. Ellen Thomas.
Hi, I'm located in Tryon, North Carolina, which is about 50 miles from Asheville. And I used to be in Washington, D.C., part of the D.C. branch, which doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately. And I'm part of the Jane Addams branch for at-large members. If there are any people on this call that don't fit geographically into any of the geographic branches, then the Jane Addams branch is for you, if you want. And the Disarm End Wars Committee is focusing at the moment on a calling campaign to representatives in support of a couple of bills in Congress. One of them is one that I've been working on since 1986, the Nuclear Weapons Abolition and Economic and Energy Conversion Act. And the other is the ICBM Act, which is you take the money from the ICBMs and put it towards the protection from viruses and such. And we will be sending an e-alert out to all members of WILPF in the next few days, telling you how you can do this. If you're interested in helping with this, that would be really great. We have committee meetings on the second and last Sunday of every month at 7:30 p.m. And the next one is going to be next Sunday, not tomorrow, but next Sunday. And you're all welcome to join us. My email is et@prop1.org. I'm not at my computer, so I can't type it in, but if somebody wants to put that in there for me, I'd appreciate it, because if you have any questions, I'd love to hear from you. And you can also write to disarmchairs@wilpfus.org, and that gets to Robin Lloyd and myself and Cheryl Spencer, who is the third co-chair and has been putting together some wonderful toolkits to help people work on various projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. We'll go with Lenny, Joan, Barbara, Jan, and I do want Barbara Nielsen of the San Francisco branch to introduce herself after they've done. I just noticed that we missed her. So Lenny, if you would go forward.
Yeah, hi, I'm Lenny Villagomez Reeves. You can see the flag over my shoulder. I'm of Mexican, not of Cuban descent. I am the co-chair with Cindy Domingo of the Cuba and the Bolivarian Alliance Committee. And this committee, the term Bolivarian Alliance is not very familiar to most people, but the vision of Simón Bolívar, who was a national independence leader in the 19th century, was the unity of Latin America for sovereignty and cooperation. So we work to end the blockade of Cuba. We work to end repressive and neo-colonialist governments in Latin America in general. Our current campaigns are around collaboration with Cuba in trying to help deal with the pandemic. Cuba has a lot of innovative things going on, both medically and in terms of public health, and how to put together a health system so that it actually works for everybody that we can learn from. But Cuba, because they've been blockaded by the US for the past 60 years, has a lot of shortages, and one of their shortages is syringes. So we're trying to give back to Cuba, which has done so much in the world, but with medical brigades and with many other efforts that some of you may be very aware of, especially those of you who are interested in the independence of the former colonized nations in Africa will know about Cuba's help in defeating apartheid in South Africa by helping Angolan independence. Anyway, you're welcome. I wasn't prepared to give this talk. I will put my email and Cindy's in the chat. We'll be meeting in June, I believe on the 18th. And please come and thank you.
Thank you, Lenny. Yes, be sure to put your contact information in the chat. I know that several folks will probably be interested in the Cuba committee. Joan, can you tell us about what's coming up with the Advancing Human Rights Committee?
Yes, very glad to be here and to share. We wanted to announce that the Advancing Human Rights Committee will be meeting, and everyone is welcome to see what kinds of work we want to get started on next. We know that there are people concerned about immigration, concerned about the various United Nations efforts that are focused on women or by women or both, and several other topics. I've heard from a couple people about other things. There are a variety of activities happening on anti-racism, and there may be some people at the June 30th meeting, June 30, and there will be an article in the e-news, which goes to all members, which will come out right around the 1st of June. And that will be, or the first week anyway of June. It's a kind of an odd time with the holiday and everything. So watch for that. It will have lots of good articles, but it will also tell about this particular meeting. And also I will put the email address for the AHR committee, the Advancing Human Rights Committee, in the chat. But it is the letters AHR and then the word chair, CHAIR, for chairperson or whatever, excuse me, at the @ WILPFus.org. But I'll put it in the chat for those of you who see the chat. Thank you. I hope that you can see the e-news article. There will be an e-alert later on in the month, closer to the time of June 30th. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan. So who's next? Barbara Taft, I believe that's you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Barbara Taft, and I am the Greater Phoenix branch of WILPF, living in Mesa, Arizona. And I am co-chair along with Odile Huguenot-Aber of the Middle East Peace and Justice Action Committee. We have probably the largest mandate of things that we do of all of the committees, and it's especially difficult at this time because there's so much happening in the Middle East. But I'll try to give you a sense of some of the things we're involved in. Of course, the situation between Israel and Palestine is a primary focus of our committee. We have to deal with the situation of apartheid there and the fact that Palestinians are not being vaccinated for COVID as they should be. We're also trying to reissue our booklet about Hamas and why they should be taken off of the US terrorist list and included in peace talks, because they represent a large number of people, and people need to be represented. We're also dealing with issues in Israel and the occupied territories of annexation, imprisonment of children, a wall that's separating people and preventing them from being able to meet and talk and get to know each other as human beings. We have some people who have been active trying to get a weapons of mass destruction free zone in the region. We know that Israel has nuclear weapons, and of course there's a lot of discussion about whether Iran will move toward getting nuclear weapons, and Saudi Arabia is trying to acquire them as well. We have a section of WILPF that is active in Lebanon, and one of our members is from Lebanon, and she has gone home to visit, and hopefully she'll be getting out a video about her visit and things that are happening and visiting in refugee camps there that we'll be able to show everyone when she gets back. And we also are working with our Lebanon section on the fact that their government has collapsed, that their banking system is really a problem, and civil society is having a lot of difficulty getting by. They're also dealing with the problem of refugees, which is the case in many countries in the Middle East. We work with our Palestine section as well. Palestine was supposed to have an election. It has been postponed yet again, and we're hoping that that will happen. But we're working with that section on the situation of prisoners, which is important, and the confiscation of homes in the Sheikh Jarrah area. We also deal with things that happen in other countries as they come up. That includes the war in Yemen, that the US is providing weapons to Saudi Arabia. And in Yemen, there are currently problems with malnutrition, a blockade that's preventing medical care and food from getting in, disease, it's COVID and also cholera there. And so there's a lot to deal with on that.
1 minute, Barbara.
Syria, with the war, refugee situation, and of course, all the other countries that have refugees in them. We occasionally deal with issues that occur in North Africa, the countries that are Arabic-speaking countries there, which includes Libya, Egypt, Sudan, South Sudan, Morocco, and Western Sahara. And of course, ongoing problems between Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan. And the major overall issue that takes place in the whole area is the issue of oil, which we have to.
You're at time, Barbara.
Thank you. And if you want to join us, just real quickly, our next meeting is June 7th, and I'll be putting my email, if you're interested, into the chat as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. So Jan, if you could say a little bit about the Membership Development Committee, and one by one we grow, because we've been saying in the South, branch by branch we grow. So would you say a little bit about the Membership Development Committee, Jan?
Sure, I'd just love to. Well, that is our theme, one by one we grow, because we recognize that everybody's time, talent, and treasure is important to our organization, to our branches. And every time we gain a member, we gain that time, talent, and treasure. We also know that it's a one-on-one situation, one person talking to another person and bringing them into the branch. So we share our successes and challenges. We get ideas from each other. We also feel fortunate that two expert organizers have agreed to work in coalition with us. And one of them is from the Iowa Farmers Union, Debbie Bunka. And, we're very interested here in family farms and protecting family farms and this whole arena of industrial farms. And she is an expert. Their membership has tripled in 5 years. So we draw from her knowledge, as well as Frances Engler, who's doing the same thing in the union movement. So we'd love to have people join us and share their successes. We always get ideas from each other. We meet the second Wednesday of every month, and we're going to do a presentation at Congress. So we want to hope that you attend that presentation. And haven't asked Teresa yet, but I'm hoping she'll be one of the presenters with us on that particular presentation.
Well, thank you, Jan. And I see we've had new people to join us. I appreciate Barbara Nielsen put her information in the chat. She's been a former program committee chair, so she served well in the organization. So Barbara, if you could just unmute yourself and just say hi and wave, because I see that we have Kate DeMalley and Rosa Saavedra, who have also joined us. And we want to break for our breakout sessions, which George will explain. But there you are, Barbara.
Hello, hello from San Francisco, and this is an exciting event, the first of its kind that I've ever participated in, actually. And thank you very much to Teresa and George, and to each and every one of you who have become new members, and to everyone who's participating in WILPF. That's how we've managed to stay alive and grow internationally since 1915. Thanks very much, Teresa.
Thank you, Barbara. And my old comrade and friend, Rosa Saavedra, I saw her earlier today. So if she could unmute herself and say a little about the project she's doing in her advocacy for immigration justice. Rosa Saavedra.
Hey, I'm Rosa Saavedra. I am doing a lot of different things, but I am doing some work in, and I hear that, I mean, I've been hearing about this Cuba connection. I have been working with some folks in Puerto Rico about ending the colonial kind of existence that Puerto Rico exists under. This has been a little bit of a kind of a slowdown with the coronavirus, but I have plans to be back there in August. And I would love to connect up with Cuba and Puerto Rico have a lot of solidarity with each other. So, I mean, it's something that I would be interested in talking more with folks about.
Well, we are interested in talking more with you, Rosa, because I know you're not quite in the Triangle branch yet, but you live in Raleigh. So we're hoping that you do join the Triangle branch of WILPF. I know they would be glad to have you. And George, I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce Kate DeMalley and to get us to the breakouts for our 15-minute breakouts. So it's all on you, George. Thank you.
All right, great. So Kate, if you could come off mute and say hello to folks. Your mute is still on, Kate. There you go.
Hi, I'm Kate DeMalley. I'm with the Poor People's Campaign here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and just looking forward to working with y'all and to being part of this new branch.
Fantastic. Thanks, Kate. That's the briefest introduction you've ever done. It's beautiful. So y'all, we are now gonna be in our breakout rooms, and we will be, I'm really excited because we're launching our new branches today. We're also launching the Black Liberation Caucus for WILPF US. And that is fantastic, and I'm really proud of that. So we will be meeting those of us of African descent, and I want to be really specific about African descent. We'll be meeting in the Black Liberation Caucus. Everyone else, those of y'all who are allies, will be meeting together. And while I don't want to give you any prescriptions for your meeting, I do want to recommend and suggest strongly that those in the Allies Caucus, in our time together, we only have 15 minutes, but in that time together, think about the ways in which you will be allies to the Black women and the women of color in WILF US, building branches that include Black women in leadership and supporting the leadership of Black women and women of color in your branch in WILF US. What are the specific ways that you can be an ally? What does that look like? Specific steps that you can take. All right, now, we will have 15 minutes in our breakout rooms. So we'll come back together at about 14 after 6. You have to accept the invitation to join the breakout room. What's that mean, Barbara? I don't know what to do for you.
Are each of the rooms going to be recorded, and
No.
are you asking us to take notes?
Nope, that's up to you entirely. But
Okay.
there will be no recording in the rooms.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, let's get us in rooms, Queen Mother. Here we go. You have to accept your invitation, Queen Mother. I can't hear you. You're muted. But all I can tell is that you haven't accepted your invitation. Can you unmute so I can hear you? I can't hear you, Queen Mother.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
But I can only see on my deal that you haven't joined.
Is that room 1?
Yes, ma'am, room 1.
Okay, so here it is right here.
Great.
Just give us 1 minute. We should be in.
I don't want to leave until I know you're there. Great. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, great. Took us a while to get Queen Mother in here.
Thank you.
Well, George, since we have so little time, could you put up the proposal?
Can you see?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes. So just in the spirit of full transparency, the organizers from the 3 new branches in the South, George Friday, Shante McLaughlin, and I met yesterday to kind of think a little bit about this proposal that we would make in an effort to reach agreement on getting started as the Black Liberation Caucus. So I'll just read through the proposal real quickly. First of all, we wanted to agree that our decision making will be by consensus. It's a democratic way of reaching agreement. And so I like to call it Roberta's rules of order as opposed to Robert's rules of order, because this is based on who needs to hear more, making sure that all questions, concerns, and objections are addressed. So we want to get agreement on decision making by consensus as an operational proposal for us. And then for our being organized and the leadership we wanted to suggest that we would have a steering committee of Black members who represent all the different branches as a way of being able to connect with a larger grouping of people. And right now, we say 2 representatives of African descent for each branch. I do know that many of the branches have no members of African descent, and some only have 1, like in the case of San Francisco, where Philip is the only representative of African descent in that branch. But in the new branches in the South, we have quite a few Black women who are members. So we will be needing to make some decisions about who the representatives are from the Metro Atlanta, the Fannie Lou Hamer, and the Triad branches. But it won't be so much of an issue in most of the branches around the country because there's so few Black members throughout the country. And we were suggesting that once we pull the steering committee together, that we would meet monthly. But the main part of the proposal is what are we gonna be working on? And the concept is that we will be working broadly, not just within WILPF, but we will be working on the broader Black liberation struggle, connecting with other organizations. And we will be representing the Black Liberation Caucus of the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, US section, as we work with other groups on reparations, on freeing all political prisoners, which is work that several of us are already engaged with in now, reparations, freeing all political prisoners, criminal justice reform, how can we stop them from killing us, and then ending voter suppression, another thing that many of us are working on. And then of course, the most recent, well, not so much recent because it's 73 years since Israel invaded the Palestinian territories and began seizing their lands. So we wanted to lift up at this moment in time Free Palestine solidarity as another suggested area of work. So I'll stop talking now. And George, there are 11 people in the meeting. Have all of the 11 people introduce themselves in the larger group?
Everyone but Rosa. Well, no, everyone has. Let me make sure. We heard from Philip. Takes me a while to look at the whole list. Yes, all of us have introduced ourselves.
Well, now we need to hear what questions, concerns, or if there are any objections to the proposal that we're putting out. We would certainly want to hear comments from everyone, since George, Shante, and I have already talked about it.
And what is missing? What do we need on here that isn't here yet? Let us know.
Well, I do have a question. And that would be, is there a plan to address the systemic racism within the WILPF organization? Is there a strategic plan to address that in some way? Because from what I've seen and my personal experience with the leadership of WILPF is that they have some kind of blinders on when it comes to their own abuse of power concerning people of color. Thank you.
Very important point, and I do have something I can say about it, but I will leave it up to others who are not new to WILF, but have been engaged with WILF. And I'm not sure how many of us are actually members for more than a year or two. I've been a member for several years. Philip has been engaged with the organization long enough to be able to make that statement, and George Friday has as well. But George, would you like to speak to Philip's question?
Philip, you speak words of truth, brother. WILF, I have done most of my professional work as an organizer with majority white organizations. I've also done anti-racism training for decades. WILF has the most deep-seated white supremacy I have ever encountered. It's institutional racism that is manifested in all kinds of ways, including the power and control. And our existence right now, this moment, a historic moment, that it can challenge that power and control. That's all that I can say at the moment.
Well, I will add that I first encountered WILF in the late 80s when I lived in Cleveland, Ohio. And WILF was led by two dynamic Black women, Ione Biggs and Kathleen Gathers. And we were all Black women in WILF. And when I'm white branches. So that's what we will certainly talk about as we're building the Black Liberation Caucus. That is a recommendation, George, that it sounds like we need to place it on the areas of work. So, George, how would you frame it?
Would you repeat? Yeah, what's the language we want to put here?
Anti-racist transformation of WILF, US. Anti-racist transformation of WILF, US. Yeah, I see what you mean about your little typos.
Yep.
Transformation. Okay. So let's hear from people.
We have about 3 minutes.
Well, we'll make it at least 5 minutes because you need to change this to Black Liberation Caucus agreement. So if we hear no more questions, concerns, or objections, we will declare that we have reached consensus because we will be showing this to the rest of the group. So now is the time to speak. Do you have any questions, concerns, or objections to the proposal that was presented that we're now declaring agreement on?
I have a question, if I can. So my question is, I am 100% on the Black liberation, but I wonder if we can, if in this language we can include, you know, other people of color, like Latinos, like brown, you know, Black and brown. But I think the primary thing needs to be Black liberation because we have to have that to have liberation for the rest of us. So, so I just wonder to make that, if that is possible to have that in the language.
Yes, under the areas of work, Rosa, and I know you're very good at writing. So can you give us the phraseology? So solidarity with other oppressed nationalities. Solidarity with other oppressed nationalities.
I would suggest people rather than nationalities, because some of us have nations imposed upon us. So just with other oppressed,
Solidarity with other oppressed peoples
yes, of color.
of color. So are there any objections to adding that language to our areas of work? Well, it sounds like we have agreement, George. So do you want to bring us back together?
Yep, we will have 60 seconds once I figure out how to close the rooms. All righty, we have 60 seconds before we come back together.
Well, yes, and you will do the report back from our caucus, George.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
I'm sorry we didn't have more time together.
Yes.
That was just enough time to make you mad, you know, to get you real hungry for it and want to have those deeper conversations.
Sure.
We hope it was for everyone a good start. It was a great start for the Black Liberation Caucus. We have our Black Liberation Caucus agreements to share with y'all. We will be making decision by consensus in the caucus. Our guiding steering committee and leadership will be made up of 2 representatives of African descent from each branch. There will be a monthly meeting of the steering committee. And here are the areas of work we have committed to work together on. Reparations, freeing all political prisoners, criminal justice reform, ending voter suppression, free Palestine solidarity, anti-racist transformation of WILPF US, and solidarity with other oppressed peoples of color. That is what we were able to get done in our time together that we're really pleased about, and there are next steps, but that's where we are now. Teresa, what is next for us?
Well, we want to hear from the Allies Caucus, if we could hear a report from them.
Is there anyone in the position to give a report from what y'all did in the Allies Caucus? You know I will call on someone if you don't volunteer.
Well, it was suggested that comments made by Samantha summed up a lot of what we were thinking about. So perhaps Samantha could tell you all what she said.
In 3 minutes, Samantha.
Okay, I think that as white allies, we have two modes that we can help. That we can show up for Black people, for Black events, do what's asked of us, show up when bodies are needed, put ourselves in front of bodies, help the cause, whatever the cause is that is promoting Black community, Black power, really. Okay, and so show up for communities without anything in your head that you're taking over in the lead by any imagination. It is not for you to lead. It's you to say, where do you need me? I'm there, and that's it. And keep showing up as a group. And then when you do something, ask people to show up also if they'd like. Send it out. Make those relationships. Make sure you are in that community and helping people. That's all. People see people helping, they want to know more about you. Okay, well, this is what I work for. This is what I do. And
Hey, baby,
this is why I'm here. And I'm working on justice, really. And my main goal is to get people to advocate for themselves at the polls, period. Well, that's me anyway. And the second thing is to educate other white people. Okay, it is not up to Black people to educate white people. We have to educate other white people. There are too many people who are really want to do good things, but have no clue how. And what they do sometimes is damage.
because they don't know, like we talked about before, they don't know how to talk to Black people or people that don't look like them or people that don't speak like them, and they say the wrong thing like constantly. So it makes them uncomfortable. It makes other people uncomfortable, and then the relationship goes bad. So you have to really educate white people so they can do this work before they do this work or while they're trying to do the work. And you know, WILPF is doing that. They have a really good book group going on now, which I had wanted to be a part of, but every Saturday at noon on the East Coast has been crazy since it started. But that's pretty much what we talked about. Yeah.
Thanks, Samantha. Kim, you've got your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add real quickly. I think one of the most important things we talked about is as white people, how it's important to be supportive and to listen and maybe stop talking so much. And I think that's really important because of the history of the organization and because of white supremacy. That's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Kim.
Well, it sounds like it was a productive conversation. And I would like Joan Goddard to say a little bit more about what's happening in WILPF that's been described as race matters or racial matters. I'm not sure who all is involved in that process, but Joan, is there something you can add about what's underway? Because what George and I have talked about is working on a kind of anti-racist transformation of seeing that the branches are less all white branches. Because I think what we know about WILPF US section is that many of the branches are all white branches and they have no people of color and no Black people. And so we set up a steering committee based on Black people in branches being on the steering committee. We know that Philip would be representing San Francisco because he's the only Black person there. But I'm not sure what's happening in Milwaukee and some of the other places. So perhaps Jan Quarterman can help us with that project. It's going to be very hard for us here in the South in the new branches because the majority of our branches, or at least half of the branches, are Black women. We have about 11 Black women out of 13 members in the Fannie Lou Hamer branch. And in the Atlanta branch, it's a similar situation. But throughout the country, that is not the case. And so my vision is that more and more Black women and other women of color will be joining the other branches as we move along, because the Black Liberation Caucus will be recruiting over a wide geographic area, people we know in Philadelphia, people we know in other places in the country who would be likely to join. So, but Joan knows about a process that's underway that is looking to address the whiteness of the WILPF US section.
Excuse me, I'm not sure I know a lot more than some of the other people here, but what I understand is that there is a national board and president process that where Darian is gathering people to work together, and she's looking at the overall WILPF organization and so on. And then there also is the book group, which which Samantha mentioned. And that is also a beginning project and something where there are people from a lot of different branches. And part of the idea is that those of us in the work group would go to our branches and say, we want to work on with this book that is titled Uprooting Racism, How White People Can Work for Racial Justice. It's by Paul Kivel, who is probably going to speak at the Congress in August, which was mentioned. So that will be a chance. That's also part of the sort of developing. Personally, I do not want to invite Black women to join my branch until we can meet in person. If I knew a lot of women in San Jose already, I might be willing to expose them to who knows what when our branch is meeting on Zoom. But I want to be there so we can look each other in the eyes and hug each other and go forward. And probably not, I would want some advice from the Black Liberation Caucus and other members of WILPF who want to share whether it would be a good idea to invite, say, some women from NAACP. I know there's an active group here. Some of the women who are involved with the Poor People's Campaign in our local area, et cetera, to talk with us at WILPF about what they're doing. And then after we sort of gotten to know each other that way, in the process of having that meeting, perhaps would be a time to invite them to join. So I will be looking for advice, as I said, from the caucus about what and how it might work, both from your expertise, but also then blending that with the individuals who in the different branches who want and know we need to work on this. Thank you. Does that answer in at all what you were thinking I might have to share, Teresa, which I didn't know I was going to be asked to share? And so
Well,
well,
absolutely. We have this thing in the Southern Anti-Racism Network called accountability, consistency, and transparency, the kind of ACT principle. And so when we come together, we expect to be held accountable. We expect to be transparent, and we know that we are all consistently working on our own transformation as well as organizational transformations of which we are involved. And so you answered exactly what needed to happen because you are transparent. You said how you felt you needed to proceed in San Jose. I think people will proceed differently. We had a conversation in the Triangle branch this morning where I challenged the Triangle branch about never inviting Black women who were around the branch to actually join the branch. And I would say the first step to integrating the all-white branches is simply to ask women of color that you invite to your meetings. I was invited to your meetings in the Triangle for over 10 years, representing the Southern Anti-Racism Network, but no one ever asked me to join WILPF. There are others who have been a part of the Triangle in that way. So this is our kind of transparency and accountability. It was a conversation that Miriam Thompson said she wanted to continue. And Liz, I got the impression that you are willing to engage that conversation as well. So I'll let you speak for yourself, Liz. Is that true?
I haven't been a member of WILPF that long, so I don't know the history. So I'm just really here to kind of soak it all up and absorb it and find out what has been going on. Yes, of course I'm willing. I think it's vital to the organization itself, but it's vital to all of us.
Yes.
In the end.
Thank you. And I am so glad that you came, and to know that you haven't been around that long. I didn't know that part. So how long have you been a member of WILPF, Liz?
I can't even remember. I've been sitting here trying to remember when I joined. But I really don't remember the date when I did join. So basically your arrival to the group is like the first time to me, because I wasn't there for the times that you were there earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't have that reference.
Yeah, I've been in Georgia for 10 years, but I was a part of the Triangle, going to all the meetings, but never really as a member. But I would be speaking at the meetings, and that is fairly common in WILPF, that Black women are invited to speak at the meetings, but no one ever asked us to join. And so what we've been doing by having all of these branches led by Black women in the South is demonstrating how women will join. And so, Rosa, did you already go online and join? I hear somebody welcoming you to the sisterhood. So are you there, Rosa?
Yes, I did. I signed up while somebody dropped in the chat the online thing, so I completed it.
Wonderful, wonderful. And that's how we've been building the branches rapidly, Jan, by just asking. And everybody wants to be a part of an international organization working for peace and freedom that has a powerful US section. Trust me, good people, it's easy to recruit to WILPF. It's easy. So George, where are we with the time? Because we wanted people to save the chat, and we wanted to play the Fannie Lou Hamer branch theme song as we exit. But our plan was to be finished right at 6:30. So where are we, George, with time?
We're 2 minutes over, but that's not too bad. If we're at a place that we can close, anything lingering that needs to be shared that hasn't been said? So if you're not familiar with saving the chat, at the bottom of your screen, I don't know what this looks like on the phone, I'm sorry. There's a little speech bubble that says chat. If you click on it, you'll see the word file over towards the left. And if you move more to the left of the file, save chat is an option. So you want to do that and save the chat. Meanwhile, I will play you some beautiful, inspiring music.
George, you have to unmute, share audio.
Thank you. I don't know what is different, but thank you for letting me know. Okay. And y'all thought I was totally perfect, right? Now you know.
I'm working on the phone, and I can't figure out how to save the chat on the phone.
I can email it to you, Ellen.
Okay.
It's not working on my computer either for some reason. I'm just not getting safe chat.
The chat, maybe you don't have it set up.
Well, wait, George, before you start the music.
Yes,
I'm glad Ellen spoke up because Ellen, we recorded this session and we want to make it available to the whole of WILPF. And if there's a way that we can share it in whatever way people think, we'll be at the national board meeting on the 25th, and we can maybe talk about if it would be appropriate or a good way to share this historic meeting, because being in this 106-plus-year-old organization, I do know that this today has been an historic meeting. So we can talk about that later, but George is in control of the recording, and I know she knows how to turn it into a YouTube video.
But in terms of getting the chat, I heard that I need to email the chat to Ellen. Who is the other person?
Barbara Nielsen.
Barbara Nielsen. Okay, I'll make sure I email the chat to y'all.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah.
So I think we're ready to say so long with the music, George.
Fanny Lou, hang up. Fanny Lou, hang up. Fanny Lou, hang up. Fanny Lou, hang up. On this little light of mine, her song would fill the air. She rocked the state of Mississippi. Now a few more black people stand there. Fanny Lou, hang up. Fanny Lou, hang up. Fanny Lou, hang up. Fanny Lou, hang up. For 20 years she weighed the cotton down on a white man's farm. She received threats on her life, was fired from her job, scorned and kicked off the farm. Fanny Lou, hang up. Fanny Lou, hang up. Fanny Lou, hang up. Fanny Lou, hang up. We're sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's what the lady would yell. Her body was beaten and she walked crippled, trying to vote. She was thrown in jail. Fanny Lou, hang up. Fanny Lou, hang up. Fanny Lou, hang up. Fanny Lou, hang up. Land of the free and home of the slave, she criticized the law of the land. For 100 years, blacks had lived in fear. Now they marched, took their lives in their hands. Fanny Lou, hang up. Fanny Lou, hang up. Fanny Lou, hang up. Fanny Lou, hang up. She came by here and she didn't stay long. Helped to turn a few things around. Cancer took her body, but the struggle got her soul. Now we've laid her body in the ground. Fannie Lou Hamer, Fannie Lou Hamer, Fannie Lou Hamer, Fannie Lou Hamer.
Thanks for spending part of your Saturday with us. Bye.
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 Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye,
It's been
George.
lovely.
Thank y'all.
This was
Bye.
fantastic. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
good night.
Yes,
Great
it's great to meet
facilitation today.
everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice to see everybody. Thank you.
I hope you'll join us on our calls.
Thank you.
Congratulations to you, great women.
Thank you,
Thank
Queen
you
Mother.
for you. Yeah. Is that an
Thank you.
allergy or are you just glad to see
It's the
everybody?
song. It's the song.
Yes, that was the second one that got to you, and you're
Yeah.
not alone.
Yep. They always do, even if I've seen them, listen to them over and over again.
Yeah.
Very
That's all right. It means my heart still works.
We knew that, George.
Thank
All
you
right.
so much.
Yep. Hey, Kate, are you gonna
Yes.
send the agenda for tomorrow?
What's that?
Agenda for tomorrow?
Yes, check your messages, check your text message.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
I keep saving the chat, but I guess it's probably complete now.
Oh, yeah, it should be. Oh, because people added stuff.
Yeah, right. It has,
Okay.
mine says 9 new messages.
Wow. I'll email it to you, Barbara. When I get
Thank
the
you.
recording, I always get to chat.
Thank you. Thank you, George, very much and for
Sure.
everything.
All right,
Yes.
many blessings.